a lot of people in my past would ask me, in terms of the differences between Bradley and I, like, oh, you guys look similar, you walk similar, you talk similar, you play similar. Like, why is he here and you're not there? And it took me a long time to have this coming to Jesus moment. Bradley was gifted and I was gifted, but Bradley took his gift to another level and I stayed the same. I didn't. Brad continued to excel and work on his game, and I didn't.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of The Report. Today, I got someone who specializes in the finance field, someone who can talk shop with money. His brother is Bradley Beal, the Phoenix Suns NBA All-Star. I got my man, Brandon Beal. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man, appreciate you coming down. And, dude, I didn't realize that you live right up the street in Menifee, dude. It's only about an hour and 20-minute drive.
Not even an hour 20. Probably more like an hour even.
An hour?
Without traffic, yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. It's longer when you have a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. Is that your first kid?
That's first and probably last too. Yeah.
I got to meet your 1-year-old. I got to meet your wife. You brought her into the studio, and dude, that's amazing, man. So
I appreciate
congrats. What brought you to Menifee? I got to ask.
So I'm originally from Missouri.
Okay.
And my wife is from Indiana.
Okay.
It's a long story. I'm 10,000 square foot view. I was living in DC at the time in 2015, and we got hit with Snowmageddon. And I said, to hell with this. I'm moving out west. I called her up and said, hey, you can come with me if you want to. So we packed everything up, man. We moved out, and our first stop was Corona. So we had a small 2-bedroom apartment in Corona for about a year. And then we were looking for more space, and Menifee was like up and coming. Sun City was like up and coming. And we found at the last minute, because our lease was up in our apartment, we found last minute 4-bedroom house, for rent. And so we've been there since January 2017.
Damn. Okay. So you're OG in Menifee, man. You've seen it all.
I've been around.
Yeah, I like that, dude. So I see that you were in the football arena. Your brother plays for the Phoenix Suns, NBA All-Star. I'm a big fan of both the NBA and NFL. Big sports fan. I think there's a lot of correlations between sports and business and real estate. It's like the competitive spirit, right? I played sports growing up, baseball, basketball, I skateboarded, and I think a lot of that competitive spirit that I had back then translate over to this space, and that's why I'm like so competitive in business.
Yeah.
I always want to win. Like, I'm like, if we're gonna do something, like, I want to be the best. You
Yeah.
know? So tell me about the football career. How did that go, and what level were you playing at?
Man, it didn't go. It didn't go the way I wanted to, man. And I think 99% of guys walking the streets of Pacific Coast could tell you, oh, same story. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
the case with 99.99% of people out there. It's just, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
It's the 0.00001% makes it to that level. And same with like you musicians and celebrities, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, what was the backstory there?
Yeah, I went from high school to college, and I went to college at Northern Illinois University, just outside of Chicago. So how it went was I went undrafted, but I was invited to a workout with the Cincinnati Bengals 2010. And right before that, I was, getting ready and everything like that. And I'm doing well. I'm running routes, catching balls. And I'm not kidding. Midway, not even midway, like almost the entire workout was almost done. And I snapped a ligament in my foot called your peroneus. It's right next to your Achilles. And it was one of those ones, dudes, where it's like you heard it before you felt it. You know what I mean? So I heard the pop, and I knew, and I fell flat on my back. Pretty much I got my cleat stuck in the ground as I was turning it for a pass. And my foot didn't go with my body. And so I popped that tendon or that ligament in my foot. And so my NFL career was over before that whole cliche was over before it even got started. You know what I mean? So then I wound up rehabbing back near Chicago and trying to get back into outdoor ball, but I wound up playing professional arena football. And Mongo McMichael, he was a part of the 85 Bears football Super Bowl team. He was the head coach. Jim McMahon, the quarterback of that team, he was the owner. And believe it or not, Jared Payton, son of Walter, was a running back for us. So I'm thinking, dude, if I can get in good with these guys and get a phone call with Lovie Smith, who was the coach for the Bears at the time, I can get back outdoors, but it just never happened. So again, I did that for 2 years, and I hung up my cleats and helmet after that.
Where were you playing the 2 years of ball?
Where was I playing?
Yeah, where were you playing?
I played tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where physically, where was the league?
This was in Chicago still.
Oh, it was in Chicago.
Yeah, this is still in Chicago.
Yeah. What was the name of the league?
Back then it was the IFL, the Arena Football League, and then there's IFL and there was AFL at the time, and we were kind of competing against one another. So there was the Chicago Slaughter, which was who I played with the IFL. Then the AFL had the Chicago Rush, which I don't know if they're still around or not. I know a lot of those teams fold after a couple of years.
And this is what, 7-on-7?
Yeah, 707.
What was the biggest difference for you playing arena football? Was the speed a lot quicker because it was a smaller field?
It wasn't the speed, dude. It was you got concrete with this much green
Mm.
turf. So you're pretty much playing on concrete and then the hockey boards all around you. So that was an adjustment for me.
How far was the hockey board from the sideline?
Oh, dude, it was a half a centimeter.
Really?
There was no side
Oh,
like
damn.
that. You have to reach over the board in order for you to be out of bounds.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was fun, but it wasn't what I wanted to do long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine, dude. That's crazy. I was always curious because there has been a few like pop-up leagues that started and they try to make a push. There was a popular one, what, 15 years ago. It was like something X,
Oh,
XFL.
the XFL. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rock and his wife Danny bought that one.
Okay.
And
Okay.
now I think it's UFL now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's still going.
Yeah.
The Canadian Football League, though, that's been around for a while and it's pretty popular up there, right?
I actually had a workout with them too to play in, I always butcher this, Saskatchewan or Saskatchewan, whatever it is, somewhere
I can't say
in
it either.
Canada. Yeah. But where it's negative 30 degrees all year round. And I said, no, I can't do it, man. So CFL was out, NFL was out, and then I played Arena Football League, and after that, I was just done.
Yeah. Is that a big transition going from wide receiver to tight end?
Yes and no, because I if you love running routes and catching passes, you love it. You know what I mean?
Now, what about the blocking aspect?
I love not blocking. If I don't have to block, somebody like Terrell Suggs or Ray Lewis, you know what I mean? I'm all better for it.
Yeah. No, I hear you, dude. And then so your brother, did he always grew up playing basketball?
He and I flip-flop, actually. He grew up playing football. I grew up playing basketball.
No
Wanted to
way.
play football. He grew up playing football, wanted to play basketball.
Damn, what are the chances?
Yeah, we flip-flop.
Okay.
But all of us, I mean, there's 5 of us total.
Okay.
Brandon, Bruce, Bradley, Byron, Brian.
All B's.
All B's.
Damn.
Mom is Bobby and Besta.
Okay.
But all of us play sports. All of us play basketball. All of us play football. And I have another brother, Bruce. He was actually in the midst of, working out with the Green Bay Packers. And I want to say the New York Giants, but I want to say he had a herniated disc or something like that. So his career was over too before it ever got started. So that was the story for me and him. But they got it right with the third kid. Yeah.
So Bradley switched over to basketball. How old was he when he switched over?
I would say high school is when he made the official, like, this is my main sport. This is what I'm good at. Or I wouldn't even say good at because he was good at both. He's a natural athlete. But I want to say high school is when he really made that decision, like, I'm going to go basketball full time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's all tatted up too. I don't see any tattoos on you, man.
I got a half tribal sleeve on my left arm. I try to stay just half so that way if I do have to be
in
professional.
the finance world.
Yeah.
I feel you.
But I love tattoos, dude. I want more. Like, I need to get my chest, tribal on my chest done. But yeah, he's super tatted up.
Yeah, I feel you. So, dude, you're in the finance space, man. I got so many questions about that, and I love talking shop. That's what we do. We talk money, we talk business, we talk real estate. So tell me about what you're doing in the financial world.
So how I even got into it was, I was around Bradley. I was around these other guys, mostly these other guys that I've seen. It's so weird. It's so funny. I've seen, not to throw people's business on the street, but going into clubs and bars with trash bags full of money and just wasting and just blowing it, right? Whether it was on girls, whether it was on booze, or even just to impress. You know what I mean? And I told myself that would never be my kid or my brother if I could help it. You know what I mean? So I took it upon myself to become the biggest nerd I could in the field. And as I'm getting my series license, I noticed that I picked up on something. I kept hearing it. So I nosedived deep into it. And it was life insurance. And it was like, why is nobody talking about this amongst professional athletes? So there's a product, there's a financial vehicle that you can put money into. You can have it accumulate over time, not lose any money because of a volatile market. You still have access to it without penalty and without fees, and it's 100% tax free. Why is nobody talking about this? So I went in ham on it, learned as much as I could, and now that is my profession, is showing people, whether you're affluent or non-affluent, that there are products like this that exist that are 10 times better than a 401k.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of high net worth individuals that have life insurance policies, and you can really become your own bank.
Exactly
and
right.
finance a lot of your own stuff.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about the different types of life insurance there is out there, and what the difference is between the two.
Well, you have permanent life, and then you have term life, which is pretty much, for a set amount of time. And permanent life obviously is for the duration of your lifespan. And most of the permanent life insurance, actually all of them, accumulate over time. You build cash value over time, whereas your term policies don't. You have whole life and universal life and index universal life for permanent, and then you just have traditional term life for term. One thing I get a lot of, which is better, whichever one is in place when you die.
Mm.
Seriously. Like, everybody fights and bickers over which is better, which one should I have, or which one does this person need, or this person doesn't need this. Listen, the person needs whatever is going to be active and enforced when they die, so that I can leave my daughter the $5 million that I have on me and my wife. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we fight too much about what's best and what it's like in your space. Like, Grant, I know Grant's really big on owning versus renting. You know what I mean? I don't know your position on it, but like, I rent my home only because of what Grant said. It made a hell of a lot of sense, right? But at the end of the day, as long as you have a roof over your head,
Right.
you're good either way.
Yeah. So the perm is going to be around after you die, and the term it's only typically what, 5, 10, 15-year term?
Yeah,
Whatever.
5, 10, 20, 30 even.
Okay.
And I think there was a study just done, research just done, that only 2% of those policies even pay out, because a lot of people are outliving those policies. Like, and I'm a big believer, dude, in owning what I push. You know what I mean? I have them all, you know, and because I believe each one serves a purpose. You know,
Oh, you have a term life too.
I do. You know,
Okay.
I have a $2.5 million term that's 30 years, so it'll take me to age 65. I got a couple years ago, right? Like, it's as long as I have it, something happens to me, boom, Ashley gets 2.5 from that policy plus all the other policies I have. I have whole life, I have IUL, I have UL, I have term, I have annuity. Like, I have them all. That's why I can talk about them all, because I have them all.
Yeah, absolutely. So how does perm life work? Give me the basis of how that works.
So pretty much there's 2 different components inside of a perm life. You put in your premium every single month or annually. I have a lot of, you know, wealthier people doing it one-time lump sum every year. And then part of that money will pay for your death benefit, always and forever. That's part of the cost of insurance. What's left over will go into what's called your cash bucket, right? And that's what accumulates for you over time based on one of the indexes, whatever index you want to choose, whether it's S&P 500, the Dow, NASDAQ, whatever it is. A lot of people err on the side of the S&P because that's what they know, and that money will accumulate for you over time. And one of the cool things about it, you mentioned a little bit ago, is about being your own bank, and you 100% do that. If you have enough cash in your policy, you can borrow it from yourself. You don't have to walk into Chase. Like, if I want to buy this building, I don't have to go into Chase and get, you know, a $250,000 loan at 3% down, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I can go into my own policy, take out whatever I need, and guess what? I can pay myself back whenever I want to. There's no 50, 60-month term.
Yeah, and I don't have one, but I've looked into them, and it's definitely something that is in the cards for me at some point. Is there a cap in terms of, like, if you wanted to pull some money out to buy some real estate, you'll pay it back down the road? Is there a cap to how much you can borrow?
There isn't. Yes and no. That's kind of twofold. And I say no only because the whole point of this policy is to alleviate taxes. The whole point of this policy is to make sure Uncle Sam doesn't get his fingers in your pockets. So if I have, easy math, 100 grand, rule of thumb I tell my guys and I tell my clients is you could take out as much as 90%. We still need a little bit of life insurance in there for Uncle Sam to say, all right, he still has a death benefit. We're not going to touch his money. But if you take everything you have out of there, now it becomes a taxable event. And that defeats the whole purpose of even having the policy.
And you still accrue interest, I believe, while you're borrowing that money, right? So you essentially borrow that money, and then if you're paying interest on that money you're borrowing, you're paying that interest to yourself, and then your policy's still accruing interest in addition, right? So you're almost like double dipping.
Yeah, almost. So you know a lot about it. Why don't you have it?
Yeah, I've looked into them like a few years ago, and I just never pulled the trigger, and I just never, life gets busy, and yeah, so it's one of those things. But I've always been interested. I actually had someone on my old podcast. I had an old podcast called the Real Estate Takeoff. They still do it with 2 old partners. I did that for like 3 years with them, and when I broke up with those 2 partners almost 2 years ago now, I said, hey, you guys keep that podcast. I'm going to start my own. So I took everything I liked and didn't like about that podcast. I started this one. But on the old one, I did interview someone, I forget his name, but he was in the life insurance space. And so we did rip on it a little bit. So I do have a decent knowledge base on how it works, but the details and all that, it's been a while. But I do love the idea that you can bank on yourself.
You can. You could bank on yourself, dude. And you bank on yourself, bet on yourself, whatever you want to call it, the infinite banking concept. Like, it is tried, true, tested. And it's been around. It's one of those things, dude. It's not something that's only been around for a couple days or a couple years. You know what I mean? Like, this is stuff that's been, cash value life insurance has been around since the early 1900s, somewhere in there. You know, it's what the Rockefellers used. It's what Ray Kroc used. It's what Walt Disney used. It's crazy because we took a trip to Disneyland a couple weeks ago, and it was just amazing to see what that theme park looks like. And every 99% of people that walk that park don't even realize they will start it with a cash value life insurance policy. Like if Walt hadn't done what he did, there would be
Oh,
no,
really?
yeah,
I didn't know
100%.
that.
There'd be no Mickey, there'd be no Minnie, there'd be no,
Damn.
Orlando, there would be no Disney World, there would be no Disneyland.
Yeah, that's a big ass business
I'm
now.
telling you, Ray Kroc, if he hadn't done what he did with his cash value life insurance, McDonald's, who knows what McDonald's would be today?
Yeah. Now I've heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about these life insurance policies as well. Need to get him on the show actually. I know a couple of people that can make the intro, so I need to make that happen. I believe he lives out in Scottsdale, but I could be mistaken.
I know he spends a lot of time in Hawaii.
Okay.
I know he spends a lot of time in Hawaii.
I know Cashflow Quadrant and
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad
Rich Dad
has
Poor
changed
Dad.
a lot of lives out there,
Yeah,
so
it
it would be
does.
cool to get him on. I hear he's a little bit older now, and like some of his viewpoints are a little bit old school.
Are they?
Yeah, that's what I hear. He can get a little weird sometimes, but yeah, fuck it, he's a legend, man. I'd love to bring him on sometime.
Like seriously, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so give me an example. So someone gets a life insurance policy. Let's just say they got $300,000-$400,000 that they stick into the bank. And they're like, hey, I want to get a better return. They can take that $400,000 and give it to someone like you, and then tell me how the rest of the process works. Can you just start that right away, or could you only have to can you only inject a little bit at a time?
I would inject a little bit at a time, and well, A, tax purposes, and B, the way it's going to accumulate in value. So you can dump 100 grand, 200, 300, 400 grand into these policies. I would 110% do it incrementally over time. You know what I mean? Because what you don't want is for that death benefit to be so high to where it eats up that cash value. Does that make sense? Like we want the death benefit to be a little bit smaller, as small as we could possibly make it, depending on your threshold of cash that you want to influx in there. So if you have 100, 200, 300 grand, okay, let's divvy that up. Like for a real life example, we have a guy who wants to dump in 100,000. And I asked him, would you be okay with dumping in 25,000 over the case of 4 years? Because I want that death benefit to be so super small so that cash value can grow, at an accelerated rate, as opposed to it growing steadily or not even at all. Because the majority of that 100 grand will be going toward that cost of insurance.
Can you explain that again? That's not super clear to me. So when you say the death benefit, what exactly is that? So I'm clear.
The death benefit is what your heirs or what your beneficiaries, my wife, my kid, receive when I pass away.
Okay. So you're saying if you invest more, you're going to have a higher, on the front end, you're going to have a higher death benefit, but a lower annual return?
Yeah, because of okay. So if your death benefit is super high and your cash value is relatively high.
And what does cash value mean?
Cash value is what you've accumulated over time. Cash value is your bucket, your savings, your retirement, whatever you want, your bank. Okay, that's your bank. So you have your bank and your death benefit, and your premium pays for both. And how much depends on your health and your age. Okay. Now there is a corridor, there's a threshold, tax code 7702.
What is that tax code?
Yeah, 7702 states pretty simply, any money inside of any life insurance contract, they can't touch it. IRS can't touch it. It's tax-free or tax deferred and then gross, tax-free income. So if your death benefit is too high and it's kind of outside of that threshold, then it's that premium that you're putting in there, the majority of that is going to your cash value is going to get eaten up by that. And that's what you don't want. So you want as minimum of death benefit as possible so that your cash value rises at an accelerated rate. If not, it's going to grow slow, if at all.
Okay.
So I hope that's more clear.
The cash value will grow as you put more in, but you don't get to determine how much is allocated towards the death benefit versus the cash value unless you just put in little chunks.
You can determine how much you want for your death benefit.
Oh, you can?
Okay, but in someone like you, someone like me, I want the lowest amount possible so that I can get maximum return.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the best way to get max cash value?
The best way, someone like you, I don't know your income, pretty affluent. I would do a 7-pay.
What's that?
Pretty much you just pay for 7 years.
Okay.
I would do a 7-pay, pay over 7 years or even 10 years. I do a lot of professional athletes, they do it for 10 years. And you just dump into 6 figures every single year, and then you cut it off. And then 10, 20 years, however much you want to wait, 15, 5, whatever it is, you could turn on that drip. But the best way to do it, I think, would be to do it that way incrementally and not in a huge lump sum. If you want to do a lump sum, you could do what's called an indexed annuity. You can put that money into an annuity and it grows the same way. So annuities and IULs to me are cousins. I say they grow from the same tree, but a different branch. So one is tax-free money and one is tax-deferred money.
Okay.
Yeah. So they both grow. They both protect you from market volatility, but one is tax-free income and the other is tax-deferred.
Okay. And you said in 10 years, you could turn on the drip. And that's when you can start taking some distributions?
You can take
Or what do you
distributions
mean when you
whenever
say
you
turn on the
want
drip?
to. It depends on you, your needs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? What you're into, your businesses. You know what I
sure.
mean? It just there's so many different moving parts and variables, but every person is different. You know what I mean? There's some people, oh, I want to retire at 65. He won't touch it till 65. Someone like you may, hey, I need to go to Florida to look at some property. You know what I mean? You may need to pull money out in 2 years as opposed to 20 or 30 years.
Yeah. So, okay, so give me an example of what that looks like. So you put in, you said 6 figures for 10 years, 6 figures a year for 10 years. And then let's just say somewhere in those 10 years, you want to take some money out. You want to borrow some money to go buy some real estate. What does that look like if you want to borrow, let's say, half of your balance?
Pretty much, it depends on the carrier, the insurance carrier that we're using, but all you have to do is let them know. Some of them have a mobile app like I have on my phone. I can say, hey, I want to request 25 grand. And within 3 business days, 25 grand will be direct deposit into my bank account, as long as I have a sufficient amount of cash value to justify it. But if you only have, 28 grand in there, they're going to say no, because we don't want this to become a taxable event.
Okay. And so I know, like, when in the 401k system, and I used to have a 401k. We could talk about that, but before I get into 401k stuff, it's like you could borrow against it. Typically, it's half of your account balance or $50,000, whatever is the lower of the two. And so, I know a lot of people in real estate are like, man, I really want to buy real estate, but I don't want to cash out my 401k and pay the penalties and the taxes. I'm like, okay, well, you're really capped at $50,000, but you're saying with the life insurance policy, there's no $50,000 cap if you have a bigger balance.
I have a guy, real life, he's in Tampa, and he just took out 150 grand out of his policy. He's a former football player. Took 150 grand out so that he can go in, I think 3 or 4 ways with a couple other guys to just buy up like half city blocks. You know what I mean? Just start building. They gave him 150 grand. It was his money. That's what's so dope about it, man, is that it's your money. The 401k, the government, the way they structure it's just like, they say it's your money, but there's so many stipulations and like the 59 and a half rule and all this other jazz. Is just like, dude, like, it's not even my fucking money. I can't touch it. You know what I mean? You're putting all these limits, and there's no limit with the life insurance contracts,
Yeah, I agree, man. I think there's a lot of different reasons why I'm not a big fan of the 401k now. However, I think for the everyday person that maybe doesn't have a game plan in terms of investments, and they're going to get some sort of employer match, I think it's a great thing. Like, one of the girls on my team, shout out to Andrea, she pulled up her laptop the other day, and she wasn't checking her 401k thing, and we do 401k matching here at Summers Capital, and she's like, dude, I got like almost 30 grand in here. She's like, I didn't even know about it. She's like, I totally forgot. I'm like, holy shit. So, I think for someone that, out there that maybe they don't have a solid investment plan yet, it's like, hey, you might as well do it. Get the employee match. She's doing that. And now I'm encouraging her. I'm like, hey, take that money and go freaking buy a piece of real estate. There's Navy Federal Credit Union. You can do a no money down loan. Go buy some real estate. So I'm encouraging a lot of the girls on the team to go out there and pick up some real estate and get some of these short-term rental licenses while there's still a few left in the city,
And I agree with that, man. Like I said earlier about the life insurances, is like no one is better than the other. Each one serves a need and serves a purpose for a different person. 401k, like you just hit the nail on the head. It serves a certain person. So if you're in that space and you work a traditional 9 to 5, you're hardworking, and your boss, your employer wants to match you 5-6% on the dot, do it. Do it all day, every day. I would never tell someone to turn down free money. But what I will say is that day will come where I had a billionaire tell me once, he says, Brandon, what's the point of an employer match if the market tanks and you lose 40% of it anyway? I was like, damn, that's a good point.
That is a good point.
So put your money over here. And it's tax. I know it's tax deductible for a business owner, but so is life insurance. So you can set all your girls up with policies. You could fund it for or match them halfway. They can do the other half, and that's a write-off for you.
Yeah, and then the other point is, like, when it goes down 40% and then it goes up 40%, you didn't get 100% of your value back.
Nope. No,
And
so
that's
glad
something
you
that
said that.
you need to think about as well. Hey guys, real quick, the only way this show grows, the only way we continue to bring on bigger and better guests is if you guys rate, review, and share the show. So if you could take 2 seconds or the click of the thumb to review on Apple or Spotify, it will mean the world to me. But more importantly, we'll be able to reach more entrepreneurs and more real estate investors and help them build wealth through this podcast. Now back to the show. I think the other avenue or vehicle within the 401k that makes sense is we have a lot of investors in our fund that invest through the self-directed IRAs. And so these are business owners or they're high-income earners that have old 401ks or IRAs sitting around. They convert them into a self-directed IRA, and then they're allowed to invest into real estate offerings, real estate fund, and syndications, and that sort of thing. So now they're diversified. They're getting passive income tax benefits through our fund and diversified across multiple boutique hotels. and they're busy doing their other stuff, I think that's where it makes sense as well. But for the person out there that's listening to this, if you are in a position to where, hey, you want to get into real estate investing and you want to make this a real thing, or you want to go out there and start a business and you need some capital to do that, and you're committed to this new venture, and the only capital that you have is sitting in a 401k and it's trapped and you can't touch it till age 59 and a half without paying a 10% penalty to the Fed, 2.5% penalty to the state of California, and you're like, yo, what the fuck am I going to do? Well, that's where you should really get clear with yourself and ask yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, like, you get one shot at life and life will come and go really, really quick. I mean, I know I'm 38 right now, and I know before I know it, I'm going to be 50 like that. And so you got to ask yourself, is this new chapter for you, this new venture for you? Is this something you really want? And are you going to go all in? If you're going to go all in, I think that's the best way to start a business. Like, life rewards those who go all in. Life rewards those that burn the boats and don't have a backup plan. Because when you say, hey, I'm going to try, you already lost the game, right? Because winners, they don't try. They're going to make it happen. So push come to shove, no matter what the outside circumstances are, whatever's going on with the political environment, the economy, they're going to figure out a way to win. They're going to make it happen. That's why people like Tom Brady, they leave the Patriots, they go down to another team, and they still get to Super Bowls, is because it's all mental. They're gonna make it work, and they're gonna win the game no matter who's on the team, right? And so, I think those in business that win and they crush, that's their mentality. The people that just say, hey, I'm gonna try this, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, dude, you already lost the game. And so if that is you and you're like, hey, I'm fucking committed to this new thing, then I would say, yeah, like, go fucking cash out the 401k like I did. Go take that risk and go all in. I did it. I paid the 10% penalty to the Fed. I paid the 2.5% penalty to the state of California. I paid the income taxes on my money. And, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
part of the cost of investing in this damn thing to begin with, right?
Facts.
But that was the only capital that I had in my name.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit over $300,000 at the time. After taxes, penalties, fees, and all that sort of stuff, it was like around 240. I took that 240 5 years ago, and now I turned it into an 8-figure net worth, right? In just 5 years, because I went all in and I started buying real estate, and I started, I learned skills that helped me get to where I'm at today, because I decided to take that one risk back then. So if that is you and you're like, hey, like, that's my vision, I want to do something like that, and I'm all in, then fucking go cash it out. But if you're like, hey, like, you don't really have that vehicle in mind, then maybe not. That's kind of how I see it.
I agree 100%. I tell my guys, my advisors, like, look, you don't eliminate like, when they talk to me and they say, yeah, I'm going to try and get it out. Okay. I try to be nice about it at first. Like, hey, this whole sentence looks good, but take out the word try. So now it's, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Or I will, not I'm going to try to. Like, no. The minute, like you said, you're dead in the water, the minute you say, I'm going to try to do something. But it goes back to your point earlier about being an athlete, dude. That's why we don't know how to quit. We don't know how to lose. We don't know how to roll over and die. Like, here's an example I use. Is like, I use my daughter as an example. When she first started learning how to walk, she stands up, falls down. What does she do immediately? She tries to get back up again, or she does get back up again. And then she falls down, she gets back up again. Like, it was amazing. And in that moment, I was just like, dude, she's me all day, every day. Like, you got to be able to get your ass up, dust yourself off, pick up yourself, put your big boy and your big girl pants on, and just keep on moving forward. Like, and I think being an athlete, dude, it's something in us that just says, this is me, and I'm going to do this. And if I don't, I'm going to die trying.
Agree, man.
Yeah.
You will your way to success. You will your way to winning regardless of the circumstances. Because in all reality, there's going to be circumstances, there's going to be road bumps, there's going to be a lot of shit that's thrown your way as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a real estate investor, as a professional athlete. Like, that's just the fucking name of the game. You can't plan for everything, but you can know that, hey, shit's going to hit the fan. And, if you're committed to it, you're dedicated, and you're committed to the target, and you're committed to winning ultimately, push come to shove, you're going to figure it out. And that's just how the fucking game works. Life rewards those who go all in. And if you believe it and you want something bad enough and you can speak it, it will happen.
Agree.
It will happen, man. And that's the beauty of life, bro. It all starts with the fucking mindset. That's why when I hear people say, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm like, dude, you already lost. Don't fucking ever say the word try.
You already did in the water. And I had something similar. Well, not similar, but you said, life will hit you in the face. I was with an agency for about 5 or 6 years before I started my own. I started Breeze Wealth Management in September of last year. But before that, I was with this group, dude. And little did I know I was going to get slapped with this. I was going to get slapped with that, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, whoa, I spent all my time with this group, did all these great things. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to part ways, shake hands like gentlemen. and like you broke away from your partners, right? I'm sure you probably shook hands like gentlemen and you did your own thing. Not the case. And when I say still got a gag order, but there's still certain things I can't say, but it's just like, dude, I had no idea. It's amazing what some people do when you're no longer making them money. It's amazing what some people would do when they don't benefit from you anymore. So, you know, I got hit with some stuff, but I just had to keep moving forward, dude. And now I think we did $2.7 million in revenue last month alone. But if I don't put my big boy pants on, if I don't nut up, like, where am I at now? I'm right back to fucking ground zero, trying to figure out my life with a wife and kid.
Yeah, dude. I got lucky with those partners. That was a very clean break. We still own some real estate today. We're still friends today. And that was really easy. We still got investors together. So that was nice and easy. But dude, I fucking get it, man. Partnering with anyone, it's like that's a big fucking decision, and you got to ask yourselves a lot of questions. I think number one is, first and foremost is like, are they a fucking good human being? You guys share the same morals? Look at the way they talk to other people. How do they talk to people that they're not benefiting from? When you guys go out to a restaurant, how do they fucking talk to the servers? How do they talk to cleaning ladies when you're at the office? Like, all those little things matter to me. That's the brand that I'm trying to build. And so, culture here, everyone on the team, like, we're all friendly, outgoing, charismatic, and like we treat everyone the same regardless of who they are, right? That's first and foremost. But then the second main thing is like, what is your level of risk tolerance when you're trying to pick a partner? That's huge, because if you have a relatively high risk tolerance and your partner has a low risk tolerance, unfortunately with business and real estate, a lot of decisions need to be made. And a lot of these decisions are made with the premise of like, hey, we don't know how we're going to get from point A to point B, right? But we know that we're going to figure it out. And so if you have a partner that's like, hey, I'm not okay making that decision because we don't have all the answers, well, then that's not going to work, because you might want to be making that pivot, and then they might not want to because they don't have all the answers. They don't feel safe with that risk. And so I think that's where a lot of business partnerships go wrong. So I think you got to get clear on that. You also get clear on what are the roles and responsibilities. And so fortunately, I think a lot of partnerships go south because of some of those reasons. And so, I think, like you said, you got to get smart and really vet out who you're getting to get a partner with.
Yeah. I think everybody wants to be a chief and nobody wants to be an Indian.
That's good.
Everybody wants to lead. Nobody wants to follow. Let Warren Buffett walk in here right now. I'm like, dude, I'm shutting up and I'm listening. There is no let me talk over Warren Buffett, just like you said with Robert Kiyosaki. No, I'm going to shut up and I'm listening. This is a real estate mogul. If Grant Cardone walked in here, if LeBron, if whoever, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, we can go in business. Okay, cool. I'm going to follow your lead, bro.
Yeah.
I'd rather learn. And I think too many people, because of social media too, everybody's a guru. Everybody knows everything. You know what I mean? Especially post-COVID, everybody knows everything. Nobody wants to shut the fuck up, listen no more. You know what I mean? Everybody's entitled to something. You don't right, bro. You don't
Oscar's
right,
over
bro.
here laughing.
Everybody knows everything, and everybody knows everybody's business. But nobody wants to shut up and listen anymore. Everybody's got something to say. Cool, say your piece, but you should be able to, shut up and let the other person talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's like step one, really, of like, reinventing yourself or getting to any next level. Is like you simply get into rooms of people that are smarter than you, and you shut up and you learn what they did to get there, or to get to that level. And then it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You will by design get to that level, and if you're good at it, you will eventually surpass that level, and then you find the next one and you'll pass those people. And that's just how the fucking game works if you want it bad enough. But unfortunately, I think, like, to your point, a lot of people, whether it's ego or whatever it is, they don't like to just shut up and listen sometimes,
Yeah.
And that's okay. They'll
Yeah.
learn.
They'll learn
Yeah.
the hard way.
Yeah.
They're going to learn the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah. Alex Hormozy says something good. He says, like, the best way to, like, get revenge on someone is not to, like, pop off on them or, like, flex on them. It's really just to outwork them, and you outwork them and you level up and level up and level up until your competition shrinks into irrelevance. And he's like, that's the best flex out there.
Yeah.
And
That's what
I
I
agree
wanna
with
do.
that, man, because,
I
like,
do.
it's just part of the game. You will pass people up quickly, and I think, like David Goggins says, is like, we're either growing or we're dying. There's no one stays the same.
Yeah.
That's just how the game works.
Yeah. I very rarely disagree with David or Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
Those dudes know what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are some other, like, real estate or investing entrepreneurs out there in the space that you model your game after or look up to?
That's a good question. Um, I would say in my industry,
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Bet-David, Ed Milet,
Okay.
those two are titans to me. And if I could have my, my 5 people at my dinner table, I have Jesus, Gandhi,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
probably have
yeah.
them too, Barack Obama. But those two I really like. I love what they did starting out. I love where they are now. And both of them had kind of the same ending, but it's not ended, you know what I mean? And that the exit strategy for the businesses that they built, you know what I mean? The acquisition. And that's what I want, you know what I mean? Because I had another multi-millionaire tell me, he says, the object of the game is to get out of the game. You know what I mean? So it's like you start this game, you build it, but what is the ultimate goal? You don't just play MK just to play. You don't play NBA Jam just to play. You play to win a championship, and then you're done, right? So that's my championship is an acquisition. But I would say PBD, I would say Ed Milet in the insurance space. Those are probably the two titans that I look up to. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Bradley? I know he's in the insurance space too.
I love Brad because
Yeah.
he's controversial
Yeah.
and he don't care. And I
No.
like that because I try to get myself to a point where I don't care. But I know he dabbles. I don't know how much he's actually involved in it. I know he's a sales guru, like an actual sales guru. So I take him, his word at face value. But I'm all for it, dude. Whatever's going to help the industry grow more because it has, especially over the last 5 years. It's always been, I use this analogy of like Bruce Wayne and Batman for the last 60 years. It's been like if you're an insurance advisor, an insurance agent, you just kind of hid in the shadow like Batman. But like now you can come out into the light like Bruce Wayne. Let people see what you do. Talk about it. We need to have these conversations. You know what I mean? Like, what do you have set up? What don't you have set up? If something happened to you, is everybody taken care of? If you're ready to retire, can you retire comfortably? Can you live the same lifestyle? Or do you have to downgrade? Like, I saw your apartment. Like, you don't want to have to fucking downgrade that thing, dude. Like, you don't want to have to go live somewhere in Escondido. No disrespect to Escondido, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love Esco, but yeah, I agree. Like whenever you level up in life, it's like that's the new baseline. And you don't want to go backwards, right? And so but like if you get complacent, you will get caught. And I've got caught many times. And so it happens to me at every single level. I'll get to a new level, and then I'll get complacent. I'll take a step back, and I'll get caught. And then I'll have to learn from it, and then I'll have to dial it in, and then I figure it out, and I get to the next level, and it happens again. And so I know I'm going to continue to get smacked at every single level, but now I'm more and more prepared for it, and I expect it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest
100%.
difference.
Actually, quick story, if it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
A lot of people in my past would ask me, in terms of the differences between Bradley and I, like, oh, you guys look similar, you walk similar, you talk similar, you play similar. Like, why is he here and you're not there? And it took me a long time to have this coming to Jesus moment, and I actually made a post about it on socials maybe a couple months back. But it was Bradley was gifted and I was gifted, but Bradley took his gift to another level and I stayed the same. I didn't. Brad continued to excel and work on his game, and I didn't. So back in high school, I was always a little kid who was, he grew up, got tall, big feet, big goofy ears, and big teeth. And, I was always, it took a while for me to catch up, right? It took a while for my body to catch up with my athleticism and vice versa. But then it did. In high school, I was one of the better players, you know what I mean? From Missouri, and all of the state of Missouri, right? And that went to my head. And instead of me working to get better, to become one of the best in the Midwest, to become one of the best in the nation, I stayed the same while everybody else was doing this. So Bradley had kind of the opposite, whereas he wasn't touted like that, right? He was still 5'9", I think, as a freshman. And then he sprouted up to 6'3" as a sophomore, and now he's 6'5", right? But he was always this little guy, but he kept working and kept working and kept working. And then he became the Gatorade National Player of the Year, I think his junior year in high school, beating out all these other guys. And now he is where he is now. Even still, he can garner the contracts that he's had because he will bust his ass. I stopped busting my ass. So like now I have that mentality like, all right, fuck that. Never again. Never again will I get complacent. Will I take a day off? Sure. Do I get tired? Am I a human being? Yes. I hear people talk all the time. Oh, you shouldn't get tired if you love it. Fuck that. You're a human. You're going to get tired. Even Jesus rested on the Sabbath. You know what I mean? So we all get tired at some point. Will I rest? Yes. But now it's just like, now I'm a psychopath when it comes to my work and my business. You know what I mean? I'm up at 4 in the gym by 5 and I'm not in bed. My wife begs me to come to bed at 2 a.m. You know what I mean? So that was a quick story I wanted to tell about people out there being complacent. Don't fucking be complacent, dude, because you don't know when it's going to smack you in the face for your future.
That's so powerful, dude. And it goes back to that whole David Goggins thing. It's like no one ever just stays the same. Like just staying the same, it doesn't exist. You're either growing or you're dying.
You're getting worse, yeah.
And there's so much competition out there, and people are so hungry, and you will get passed up if you think you're going to stay the same. That's just not the case, and that's what I've experienced at every single level. You just shared your story, dude. That's freaking compelling. And yeah, and I think that's also why you see a lot of successful business owners. A lot of them, are 100% self-made and they came from nothing, because they've always had a chip on their shoulder. They were always told that they weren't good enough and they weren't going to become what they wanted to become. And yeah, I think same thing for me, man. Like I didn't even discover entrepreneurship or business until 5 years ago. I was a government employee, just working the radar scope, and I didn't even know about this whole world out here, And so I was like, at 33, I decided, fuck, like I'm gonna completely reinvent myself. I'm gonna completely like reposition my life. And so I'm like, dude, I don't have time to waste,
Yeah,
man. And so
seriously, we
that's
don't,
why I'm
man.
like, I've been going all in. I'm like, dude, I know life is short, and I'm all in on this stuff. And that's, it's the beauty of life, and that's the beauty of living in America is we have the ability to go out there and make whatever we want to make of our life, and we can go pursue whatever it is we want to pursue. And in all reality, like, the level of excellence in the bar out there is not as high as a lot of people think it is. And so I think that I truly believe, and I know this because I just did it. If you really want something bad enough, you can go pick up that skill, and if you stick to it for 100 days, 200 days, 12 months straight, you can beat a lot of people at a lot of things in life. But the problem is a lot of people delay that first day for a lifetime.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. And if I didn't, there's a mantra that I kind of live by, or whatever you want to call it. Like instead of being a jack of all trades, maybe a master at one. Like I really would love to get into your space. Like it's on my, and I hate the word vision board, but it's on my, whatever you want to call it, right? It's one of my goals for 2024. But I want to master my own space first, have this thing on autopilot. So if I take myself out of the machine, it still continues to run. I know if I take myself out of the machine, it'll run, but it might get a little stuck here, a little stuck there. Then I got to come back in and fix it. So it's like, what the fuck's the point of leaving anyway?
Yeah.
Right. So, but I do want to get into that space, dude. I don't want to do too much and then just become only okay at both. You know what I mean? And instead of being a master at one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a real thing. And I think like, what gets you from point A to point B is about saying yes to opportunity. But to get to that next level, often it's about saying no to a lot of opportunities. And I'm kind of in that season right now to where I'm saying no to a lot of stuff, and I'm just really focused on what's going to get me to that next level, and focusing on what we're good at here and whatever our competitive advantage is. And everyone has their own competitive advantage in their given space. And I think as we get to the next level and the next level and the next level, the distractions become bigger and bigger and bigger, whether it's the nightlife and the party scene, right? Because that's a real thing. The ability to attract high quality partners, that's a real thing. That goes up as you grow, and that's a real fucking thing. Alex Ramosi always talks about the woman in the red dress. The woman in the red dress gets hotter and hotter and hotter at every single level. And you got to remember not to get distracted by the woman in the red dress, because that will ultimately end up, setting you back.
Yeah.
It's a fucking big distraction. And so that's one. But also, the other distraction is all these fucking opportunities that come your way. As you grow, there's more and more opportunities that come your way, and these opportunities get better. They get more appealing. And you got to learn to say no to $1 million opportunities, $10 million
Yeah.
opportunities, and eventually it's $100 million opportunities you got to learn to say no to.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the fucking game.
Magic Johnson says something so profound. He says, if you're sitting with me and we're talking about a deal at the level I'm at now, you can't bring me $1 million or even a $10 million. He said, you can't even bring me a $100 million deal. You got to be bringing me a $500 million deal, because I'm here now. So I agree with you, dude. You do have to tell some people. You got to tell a lot of people. I'm in that season too,
That's
though.
so good.
I'm 38 too, man. So it's just like, and I have a kid. So that's kind of a great excuse. I can't make it tonight. I was always that way anyway. Like I've always been kind of that loner, just like, nah, just let me work, stay, put my head down and focus on what I'm doing. But I'm at that point too, in that season of my life where I just say no to a lot. And the more, like you say, you rise, the more comes your way. So the more I have to say no to. But I also don't want to make it to where the things I'm praying for, the things I'm asking God for, it's like that analogy where, hey, I sent you the boat, but you kept saying God will save me. I don't want to pass up a good opportunity. So it's hard to decipher what is going to be good long-term, short-term, and what's not. You know what I mean? So I go back and forth with, ooh, this might be good, but it may not be.
Yeah. That's powerful, dude. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I'm getting up early right now. I even gave up drinking.
Nice. Good for
Today's
you.
like day 39, I believe,
Good for you.
because I just realized one day, I'm like, I drank my whole life, and I've been around all those parties and nightlife, and I still get energy from going out, and so I can still do that stuff. I just don't have to drink and be intoxicated. And I just woke up one day and I realized, I'm like, I'm never gonna know my true potential if I'm spending 2 or 3 days a week at my 40% or 50% capacity because I went out the night before. And since I stopped drinking, oh my gosh, dude, I've done so many freaking things, and like my life has completely changed. It really unlocked another world. But you know, to your point, you're waking up early, 4 a.m. I'm waking up early, like I'm up at 5:30. I'm in the gym now by 6:30, and I'm just fucking I'm dialed. I'm very dialed. Everything is just freaking just operating at a much better level. Everything, fitness, the business, going out, like even my social life is more dialed, and I still have more free time. And I'm just like, dude, fuck, this is the biggest life hack that no one talks about. Like, I might have to find another hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hate the life hack where people. I love what Alex Harboza, he made a post not too long ago. Like, I have made millions and not made my bed and not
Oh yeah,
done a cold plunge at 6
yeah,
a.m.
yeah,
every
yeah.
morning and all these different. I believe in routine. I believe in schedule. I believe a person should be a slave to their schedule. I'm sure. Look, we're here. It was scheduled, right? Like, but you got these people that just talk all this nonsense. Like, I don't want to say names, but it's just like he gets ripped a lot on Instagram because he talks about the stuff that he does 5 hours before he even starts his day.
Oh, Kris Krohn.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah,
say his
yeah,
name, but I know
yeah.
you and Chris are tight.
No, no,
But
no. I've done a couple podcasts with
yeah,
Chris, but dude, he has been getting ripped
he's been
lately.
getting ripped,
Yeah,
dude. Not
he's
a good
all
rip,
yeah,
but it's
not a
just like there's no way you do this shit, bro. Like,
yeah.
you made your millions, you got 2 jets. Be proud of that, bro. But you don't have to give people this insight of, oh, this is what I've been doing. This is the secret stuff, bro. The sauce is you just gotta get up, work hard, work out, be good to your girl, be good to your kids, be a good person. Fucking have the right partnerships and the right vehicle to make you a lot of money. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
You know, I love what Alex said.
I mean, I got to be honest, dude. I'll just say this. So like, I've connected with a lot of people in the podcast space, and I gotta say, when I went to Chris's studio in Provo, it was a little bit weird, dude. Like, I rolled up with Parker, our content guy, and we flew in, and we were hitting, I think 3 different cities in like 2 days. I hit a bunch of podcasts. It was like Michael Sartain in Vegas. It was Kris Krohn in Provo, Utah, and then we went out to Houston to interview the apartment rock star Robert Martinez. And dude, so anyways, we're rolling to the freaking Chris's like thing over there in Provo, and it was the weirdest thing, man. Like, we're rolling, and you know, most of the time, like, you say what's up to the guests, we chatted up a little bit, and it's like a friendly like exchange. But he's just like, all right, dude, you ready to rock and jump in there? Like, we're gonna start like right now. You need to use the restroom, and it was no like, hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And we just jumped in and went. And we like recorded on his podcast. Then we jumped into his mastermind call. So he's like, hey, stay seated. We jumped right in. And then we recorded on mine. It was very transactional. And then right after, he's like, cool, dude, thanks for coming out. And that was it. And it was like, whoa, it was just like very structured. But whatever, like, it is what it is. But yeah, you're right, dude. I don't know what happened with his content used to be really good and
It
like
was
really
good.
valuable.
It was good,
And
dude.
he used to like provide a lot of value. But I mean, like, I don't know what happened, but his content's a little out there now. It's like weird shit. I'm like,
it's the
what
same
are we
thing that happens to any Hollywood guy.
Mm.
The fame got to him. In this case, Insta fame. You know what I mean? So he got his little 15 minutes of Insta fame. I'm not hating on the guy. Like, he's obviously crazy successful. You know what I mean? Like, and that's awesome. You know, he's done very well in his space. But his, like you said, his content used to be. And people rip on Brad Lee a lot. You know about that too. Like,
Do they a
his
little
content,
bit?
yeah, it was all sales driven, which was good. People wanted that. Then I think post COVID, he got into, and then, you know, transgender stuff and doing all this other stuff. He started speaking his mind a little bit more, and a lot of people didn't like it. But I was like, I'm here for it, dude. Like, just do your thing. But yeah, Chris is a.
But at least Brad Lee's like, he's providing value because he's bringing up, he's having opinion on a lot of topics that people don't want to have an opinion on, right? And he's just going out there and saying what a lot of people are already thinking, you know. And I think that's great. But you know, with Chris's you know, standpoint, I'm like, well, you know, what are we talking about? We're talking about walking on treadmills. Like, no one really cares, you know. And so then he's starting to get ripped on social. And I'm like, holy fuck, it's a fucking ruthless freaking crowd out
It is,
there,
dude.
man. It's
It is, dude.
yeah. So I'm like, holy, I almost feel bad a little bit.
Oh, you do. I watching one of the worst feelings I got was during the NBA playoffs and just listening, or not listening, but reading the comments on my brother, you know, after they got knocked out of the playoffs. And it was just like, people are ruthless, dude. Like, not even trolls, just people are ruthless. And you know who it always is? It's always the guy who got cut from the sophomore team. You know, it's the guy that the girlfriend told him no for the senior dance. Like, it is, or the guy that never even played basketball at a high level, or any sport or any business at a high level. You know what I mean? We rip on Chris because it's just like, well, you had good content, now it's not. But, you know, to watch guys rip on pro athletes almost as if they're not trying their best, it just blows my mind. And it's not just him. You could read anything on LeBron. You could read anything on Chris Paul. You know, you read anything on a guy that's 10 years, you know, 8 years in. It's just like, what are you talking about? this guy got here the way he got there through hard work, dedication, loyalty to his team, loyalty to the city, his family, and y'all rip on this dude as if, oh, it's a bust. You're paying him too much money. Fuck you, bro. You don't know what this dude's personal life looks like. I do. You don't know the shit that he goes through. I do. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like a how dare you. You know what I mean? And if I could punch you in the face without going to jail, I would.
Dude, I feel you, man. And honestly, like, I'm numb to it. Like everyone gets ripped on social. Like now, Kris, that's different. Like everyone's just like ripping hard. That's like, but I think I don't know. I'm numb to it. There's always gonna be people out there on social that say all this bullshit, and it is what it is. But I always know like, hey, it never comes from above. That's
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
It's always someone that doesn't know you.
Someone below.
It's always someone that doesn't know you, and they're below you.
Yep.
And I'm okay with it. And I know it only increases as you grow. And so I can imagine your brother's level is a lot of it. Grant Cardone's level, like there's just always going to be a ton of it. But I don't know. I'm cool with it. I'm like numb to it. And yeah, I figure like, hey, if there's hate, then that means you're probably doing something right. Unless it's in Kris Krohn's skills.
Yeah, dude. That's a good skill to have, to be numb to it. I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if I've mastered that skill yet. I try to I saw a shitty comment, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'll let it go. 10 minutes later, I'm like, I should probably say something to this dude. I try to let it go, and I just can't let it go for some reason. And my wife has to convince me not to, because it'll stir coffee pot in a whole different damn direction. You know what I mean? So I try not to mess with it, but I do. It's not that it bothers me. Oh, it hurts my feelings. Like, no, it's just like, I know I can one up this dude. You know what I mean? But it's a waste of time.
Well, it's funny because like whenever there's like hate comments or whatever, if you like click on the profile, it's always like someone with like no profile photo, no
Dragon
freaking
Ball Z
post,
photo.
or like just some creepy freaking profile, and it is what it is. But yeah, it's always someone that doesn't know you, and it's always someone that's not above you. That's for sure. So interesting how that works. So you did mention something earlier in the show I want to circle back with. You talked about annuities.
Yeah.
What exactly is an annuity?
An annuity is a life insurance policy flipped upside down. So you know how you pay monthly into a normal life insurance policy? An annuity is a one-time lump sum. So if you've got a $500,000, like we did one for a guy, 1.18, he's had in an old Raymond James 401k. He says, I don't like the volatility. I've lost 30 grand. I'm sorry, I lost 300 grand. I was like, ooh, so you had 1.4. Okay, yeah, we need to do something about that. Take that money, put it into an annuity. Now it's locked, it's safe, it's secure for however long he wants to keep it for. And it will still grow for him over time, much like a cash value IUL would, or UL would, or whole life would.
Okay.
And then the awesome thing about that too is, again, you could turn on the drip after 60 or after 59 and a half, he could turn on the drip and have that pay him for the rest of his life. So the cool thing with annuities is
it's like cash flow.
Yeah, that's all it is, dude. Shaq is notorious for taking his money and just dumping them into annuities. That's why the majority of his wealth is coming from annuities. Yeah, he's got the Starbucks. What is it? Not Reebok, Champion, and all this other stuff that he's invested in. But the dude has put a large chunk of his Orlando Magic Laker money into annuity.
What would you say to the listener out there that is like, you know what, I got some money set aside, I want to get a life insurance policy. What would you say is the best path for them?
It depends on their age and if they're married with kids. If you're solo dolo, I would tell them to go straight for an index universal life policy so they can become their own bank, especially if they're younger 20s, late or early 30s, I'm sorry. Go that route. If they're older, they've got a kid or two, married, we want to start looking at maybe a term life policy, something with a bigger punch, you know what I mean? And an index universal on top of that. You know what I mean? So now I can still be my own bank, but because that death benefit is so low, I still have this big punch of a term policy for the next 30 years. It'll take me at least till 65, 70. You know what I mean? That can pay out my wife a $500,000, $500,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a lot cheaper. Term policies are just a lot cheaper because that's all they do. There's no more nuts and bolts to it than that. You pay your money, you die, your wife gets the money.
Love that. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming down, talking shop,
Sure,
and
man.
Dropping knowledge, especially in the insurance space, dude. I was learning a lot of stuff there, dude. And where can listeners get in touch with you, brother?
They can get in touch with me on my Instagram. Actually, all of my socials are the same across the board. It's my first name, Brandon, middle initial E, last name, Beal. They can get with me on Instagram, Facebook, everything but Snapchat. I still think that's for kids.
Oh, yeah. Everything but Snapchat.
Everything
Dude, I
but
was
Snapchat.
actually on it back in 2015-ish. And, dude, I don't know when the last time I used it, man.
I couldn't tell you. Gary Vee would probably say use them all, but yeah,
Yeah,
who knows?
but you got to give Snapchat the credit because I don't think Instagram would have the Instagram story without Snapchat because they did
Really?
rip that.
I didn't know
Because
that.
remember how Snapchat would have the story that would would disappear after
It is
24
yeah.
hours.
Wow.
Instagram, and it started getting a lot of fame,
Yeah.
and they started getting a lot of attention over from Instagram. So Instagram copied them and said, "Hey, this is the Instagram story. It's the same thing."
Yeah. I did
Yeah,
not
and
know
Snapchat
that.
kind of fell off after that.
Wow.
Kind of
Yeah,
crazy,
they
right?
never rebounded after that.
No,
Yeah.
no. And then Elon Musk bought Twitter, and then Instagram brought out Threads, and Threads is kind of popping off right now. So
It was hot at first and then it
yeah,
died off.
really?
And I think now it's starting to regain traction
Yeah, I
again.
think it's starting to regain.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some traction there, at least more than my Twitter. So maybe I'm just biased. Yeah. But anyways, hey, I appreciate you coming on with me, man. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of your brother as well. He's Bradley Beal. I'm Rich Summers. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.